Hey, so I recently went to the Ontario Plant and Reptile Expo that is in Mississauga, Ontario. They do it about once a month. Anyways, I took some clips of some of the plants and reptiles that were there. I had a really good time. This is just going to be narrating over some of the stuff that I saw there. This Urtricularia was one of my favorites. I really regret not picking up one of these. I think this was the bestiary. I'm going to try and put the names of the shops on the screen when I can, but it is really hard to remember when there's so many tables. But I will do my best. This was Understory Enterprises. I get the bulk of my terrarium plants from here. They had a really good selection this time, some plants that I had never seen before, some really cool biophytum species. They had some Margravias in here. I picked up one of those. Really good shingling species, just really any small, interesting little foliage plant you might want in a terrarium, they have it. I always regret not getting more of these little plants because they end up looking so good in a terrarium. Like this little Margravia, so pretty with those limey leaves. This philodendron ring of fire was so cool. It had multiple blooms on it, which I don't think I've ever seen before actually. So this shop was Itzel Arts and Plants. Brenda's super sweet. She paints all of her own pots and does a really good job. The anthurium seedlings were super cute. She has a variegated laniata that you'll see that was amazing. I don't know if I've ever seen a cutting that mature before, so that was really cool. The pots are super cute. There was one in particular that you'll see, this one right here with the frog on it. I love the black and white, and it's so thoughtfully done. I do kind of regret not taking that one home with me. This shop had a lot of philodendron and monstera cuttings, some syngoniums too, which I don't really have a lot on my wish list these days, so it wasn't really standing out to me, but the prices were reasonable if you want to start out with a cutting and grow it. I mean, events like this are a good place to get stuff like that. But yeah, I have to say, seeing the variegated micans in person does not make me want one any more than I did before. This booth was Hand Plant Club, and it was phenomenal. The stuff here was so cool. I especially love the pachypodiums. They're amazing. They do get some foliage on them, but even when they're just in their kind of caudex form, they're still so cool. I was highly impressed at the quality of these specimens. Not that I know a lot about cacti. This shop is chlorophyll culture, and apologies if I'm going a bit too fast through this. I know there was a lot and I was trying not to be super obnoxious while I was filming. This shop had a lot of variety, Hoyas and Anthuriums and Scindapsus. Actually, some of the variegated Scindapsus were pretty nice, and I'm not usually into variegated Scindapsus. I liked the Anthuriums too. I mean, I thought they were solid. Starting with small plants like this is nice. This Doc Block hybrid was really nice, although that is expensive for a plant that size. This is one of my favorite shops. This is Planted, and I've gotten some really unique stuff from here over the years. There's always a really good selection, whether you're into cacti or Haworthia or caduciform plants. I really love the selection. This shop is Signature Tropicals, and same story. Evelyn always has some really unique plants that you can't seem to get anywhere else, like those variegated money trees. I don't see a lot. There's a philodendron polypoides, a variegated Dieffenbachia, it looks like, which is pretty uncommon. Really nice quality too. There's a Passiflora trifasciata that I got from her recently, and she had one at the show too. This is a variegated Hoya compacta. I've never seen one that size before. That is actually quite long. This variegated Scindapsus, the quality of the variegation was very good. Variegated, I don't know if that's in the ginger family. Again, a really unique variegated plant. I think this is Anthurium Renaissance variegated, and price super reasonable, variegation really high quality. I'm always impressed by her plants, and they're always a little bit different than what the other shops carry. So I was very impressed. This is another one of my favorites. This is We Pot Plants. Heather is so sweet. She just had a baby. He's 4 months old. So I was very surprised to see her at the show at all. I think she left around 1. So if you came later, you may not have seen her. But she always has a really good selection of anthuriums. If you're looking for something unique or with a specific trait, like this one with the flat lobes, I actually probably should have just taken home with me because it was really, really nice. She has a lot of anthuriums, very good selection, very reasonable prices. I get probably 90% of my anthuriums from her because she has these smaller plants. You can pick out ones with the traits that you like, and it's so fun to watch these small plants grow up. I know I've gotten some from her, and they've grown into these gorgeous plants that I would not have expected when I bought them. So I've just been so happy with the anthuriums I've gotten from her. Even the Monstera mint and the other variegated plants she had were really nice. That Monstera mint was $600, by the way, which I actually think is a pretty reasonable price for a Monstera that size. Not that I really love Monstera mint, but I feel like any Monstera, when you grow it to that size, is impressive. This next booth is Tropiculture. I don't know why I always find that so hard to say. Anyways, their booth was really nice. I'm always impressed by the quality of their plants. I got 2 anthuriums from them, but they had quite a few nice ones, and the prices are very reasonable for very healthy, well acclimated plants. This one was super nice and dark. A good variety of veining patterns. The luxuriance hybrid was actually quite nice. I kind of wish I could see the ID on this one that has kind of the flat sinus across the top because I feel like that's unique in its shape. This Bessier was very nice. Always loved Bessier. And this luxuriance is one of my absolute favorites. It's such a nice specimen, something that size. I was very tempted even though I already have a luxuriance. I like these little baby species Napo as well. Honestly, for the price, I probably should have picked up one of those as well. But, I always want everything. Now that I'm looking back, this Peltigerum was also really nice size. I love Peltigerum. I think it's an underrated anthurium. They had a Pelletiflorum as well, which I know I've had several people looking for, so check them out. Next is Tails and Scales. They always have a large booth at the expo. They have a good variety of common and uncommon plants. I find they have a good selection of orchids and carnivorous plants. They sell reptiles as well. The only thing I will say is I know not all of their animals are captive bred. I'm sure they do their best to get captive bred reptiles when they can, but some are coming from the wild and being shipped into Canada. So I'll let you make your own judgment on that, but I'm just letting you know what I've observed. I like that they sell live moss. You can get a pretty good size container, which I've definitely used in my vivariums in the past. These carnivorous plants are also really great. They have a good selection of sundews. There's a few different varieties here. Some of the miniature orchids that you can mount that are really good in a terrarium. Some Nepenthes with some live sphagnum moss growing. These displays in particular I loved so much, especially this Cephalotus follicularis. I had a small one of these, but it died unfortunately. And seeing a big cluster like that, I just love it. It is on my wish list, and if they had had a smaller one, I definitely would have gotten it. Next was Harmonstera, which is a shop from Kingston. These guys had some really nice mature Hoyas. I was really impressed to see the size of some of these. They had some nice anthuriums as well. Like this one was nice and dark. I'm assuming it's a pepiluminum something. They did a phenomenal job with this little terrarium with the bun moss. I'm not sure what those little pitcher plants are called, but they were the perfect thing in there. This shop is Flora Peculia. They always have a really unique selection. I was hoping they'd have a few more Hupertias because I got mine originally from them, and unfortunately, some of them are not doing so well. So I was hoping to get some more. That didn't happen. But regardless, they have some really cool epiphytic orchids on mounts. If you're looking for a miniature variety, this is the place, I'd say. Even the bromeliads, some of the variegated ones, were really cool. I was thinking about getting this one in particular that has a really cool shape to the leaves, but I decided to just wait this time. It's not like super high priority for me, but I would like to get a few more orchids and bromeliads for my vivarium. Actually, I was really hoping I'd find a bulbophyllum monophyllliform. I think I got my original one from them, but unfortunately it didn't make it through the vivarium rescape transition. It was already just a very small cluster, but I didn't find any. Hopefully in the future they will have a few more. I didn't see any at any of the booths this time around, but that is the thing with expos. You just kind of get what you get each time. A lot of plants they have in bags like this with photos of the plant, which kind of makes me think that they might just be freshly imported. So there may be some acclimation, or maybe they've already done that and this is just how they package them. I'm not 100% sure, but I do think you have to be kind of careful when you see plants packaged like this. I'm not saying you shouldn't buy them, but it is good to be aware of what you're getting into. At least with these clear pots, you can kind of see how the roots are, and if the roots aren't good or if the plant looks dehydrated, then probably you're going to have to do some acclimating yourself. These mounted ones, I can assume they've had a little bit longer to at least mount them. You can see some new growth on these orchids as well. I really love the ones that have this like wispy fern-like foliage. I only really have one of those right now, which is my Lockhart lunifera, and I think they had a couple here. Some were actually a really nice size, and it's doing quite well in my vivarium currently. It has flowered for me before too, so yeah, I'd like to get a couple more. I'd say that one is more on the big side, but I definitely kept coming back to those with the small wispy foliage. I will probably pick some up from the shop at some point. I don't think they have an online shop though, so I really only ever see them at expos, but that is okay. It kind of gives me something to look forward to. To me, hunting for plants is the fun part, and it just makes it that much more satisfying when you do find a plant you've been looking for a long time. I do think this is the last shop that I have, so the rest of the clips is going to be reptiles and insects and snakes. So if you're not into any of that, feel free to end the video now. Thank you for joining me on my little plant shopping tour. I really hope I can do this again next time I go to the expo. I don't think I took clips of any spiders, so if you're afraid of spiders, you should be good. Okay, I really need you to appreciate how cool these geckos are. I think they're called leaf-tail geckos. I just imagine these would look absolutely amazing in a bioactive vivarium. They would totally blend in, which is kind of their whole thing. I think they're just so unique. I love seeing all the unique creatures at these expos. I've been going to the Reptile Expo before they even started really doing the plant expo as part of it. These here are gargoyle geckos, which are really beautiful with that red stripe on them. The care is very similar to a crested gecko, and they have some crested geckos as well. These spotted ones are called Dalmatian, which I love. I was kind of interested in getting a Dalmatian gecko before I found my current one, Korok. But honestly, they're just so cute. These little babies are just chilling on the top of the glass. This booth might have been Reptiles R Us, but honestly, there were too many for me to keep track. This guy here is an axolotl, and he is so cute. These guys are adorable. I think they do have some special care needs. They're aquatic, obviously, but they're really unique creatures, and they seem like, well, I don't know if they have a lot of personality, but they sure are goofy looking. These are ball pythons, always a lot of ball pythons at these expos. I only took videos of like a fraction of them. I only really decided to video kind of at the last minute anyways, but if you like ball python morphs, you'll find pretty much anything and everything here. The only thing I worry about is, will all of these creatures actually find homes? I've had my snake for 10 years, so I know that it's a big commitment, and I feel like there's sometimes in the reptile community, these creatures are viewed more as objects than as, actual living beings. Pause. I actually caught this snake yawning on camera, which was super cool. That is not an aggressive thing. That is just a yawn. I've seen my snake do it too. I do know most breeders are responsible and will even take back older animals if someone is no longer able to care for them. And these expos are really the way you should do them, is to do your research beforehand. They're a good way to go and see the different morphs and stuff that are out there, but it's not to encourage spur of the moment decisions for these creatures. This is a dart frog, so different species than the ones I have. These are ants, so you can actually buy ant colonies. I think this booth is Canada Ant Colony. It's kind of off to the side, but they have really awesome enclosures where the ants can live and you can watch them. This here is a white tree frog. If I got another critter, it would probably be one of these because they're so cute and handleable. This guy is a hognose snake, and he was pretty darn cute too. You can see that little shovel nose that they use to dig. This is a rainbow boa, and just look at the iridescence on his scales. He was super pretty. This is a Leachianus gecko. I love these guys so much. He or she is shedding. That's why they look so weird. This is a tortoise. They also require special care, so that's why I don't have one, but I would have a tortoise in a heartbeat because they're so cute. The way that they move, the way they eat, pretty much everything about them is adorable. And this guy with the red head was pretty cool too, but these guys are expensive, and again, you need to know what you're doing. More frogs, pixie frog, and a Amazon milk frog. We love all the kinds of frogs here. We do not discriminate. This one's going to be kind of hard to see in here because of the glass, but that is a slug. It might be a kind of banana slug, but with the spots, it was actually super pretty. The same booth had this little terrarium set up for these beetles as well. Honestly, it's really cool to see insects getting more popular at these expos. I'm here for it. Along the same line, these are not live. These are insects that are raised, and once they live out their natural life, then they can be displayed in these really cool dioramas and mounts. This booth is Sleepy Scorpion, and the stuff that she does is absolutely incredible. Everything here is really, really cool. There's some really rare insects that she has, and I like how some of them are displayed in a really realistic way. Even just to see the different kinds of insects that are out here that we wouldn't ever get in Canada, it's really cool. And finishing off with some leopard geckos. Thank you for watching, and let me know if you want me to film the next time I go. Bye!